Hey everyone, hope you guys are enjoying Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak in whichever platform you're choosing to play it on. And today I'm going to go over a relatively massive surprise that we got for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak as a part of the latest batch of event quests that we usually get on a weekly basis. Not only did we get a really good quest that Capcom decided to drop, but also more surprisingly, it's a quest that was not available as part of the leaks. Remember that a couple of weeks ago, I went over just about every single event quest that we knew we were going to get as part of the bonus/6th free title update, and we pretty much had a pretty good idea as to what to expect with the essentially roadmap of DLC that we were going to get coming forward. However, one of the quests that we ended up getting this week turned out to be a relatively good and a relatively surprising one that we didn't necessarily see coming. I should tell you guys each and every single week, in order for you to be able to get any sort of downloadable item packs or downloadable event quests that we get every single week, all you need to do is make your way down to the Steelworks, speak to the courier cats, go all the way down to the add-ons options, and claim anything that's labeled in white, whether it is event quests, downloadable item packs, or anything along those lines. And one of those quests that we got this week is Collision Course Comet. This is a Master Rank 6-star quest that puts you up against a Crimson Glow Valstrax in the jungle. Now typically, first glance, this quest looks relatively normal, nothing necessarily surprising out of it until you read the description a little bit and you end up finding out that there's something wrong with this Crimson Glow Valstrax. Essentially, as you make your way down to the quest, you'll end up noticing that this dude is massive. This Crimson Glow Valstrax is easily the biggest Crimson Glow Valstrax you've come across, because this is a max crown Crimson Glow Valstrax. So for those of you who are crown hunting and have not necessarily picked up the massive or the biggest crown version for this monster so far, this quest is going to be a 100% guarantee that you end up getting exactly what you're after. Now, the benefit to having a massively version of this monster, not only does it look more menacing based off the size alone, but one of the things you're also going to notice, and chances are you're going to misjudge this, especially if you've been riding the Risen Crimson Glow Valstrax version of this monster, is that this one has even a bigger reach, especially when it does the big swipe wing attacks than any other version of this monster. So you're going to notice that the reach on this thing is pretty massive. Now, one of the things that we've already spoken about is that Risen Crimson Glow Valstrax already had massive reach normally, and the Crimson Glow Valstrax, just a normal version of it, had lesser version of that. So one of the biggest benefits that the Risen version got was that it had a bigger reach, because the wingspans would span a little bit more outward and a little bit more wider. But now we have this normal Crimson Glow Valstrax, which has a bigger reach and a wider radius. So whenever it does that big spinning attack, or whenever it does those big poke things with the wingspans, you're going to quickly notice that this thing just has massive reach. It will probably hit you extremely hard, and if you specifically get caught up by the beam of it, you will end up dying. I saw a lot of people caught by this thing. I ended up doing the quest 3 separate occasions just because I wanted to see and get confirmation that if it did have boosted parameters. Now, according to the quest details, it does not. Based on the Kiranico, it does not. But based on the actual evidence that I actually saw from the quest itself, if you get caught up by the beam, it certainly one-hit KOs you. And if you do end up getting caught up by the wing slams, the wing tips, or the wing swipes, chances are those things can double combo you as well. Especially if you have lower health, you're just going to end up getting killed relatively easy by this thing. Now, other than that, I didn't necessarily notice anything. For example, it doesn't necessarily have higher resistances or even higher health. Maybe it has somewhat of a little bit of a higher health pool, but I didn't necessarily pick up on that all that much. Only that certain attacks do seem to hit a little bit harder than they typically would. Now, this could have been on just my end, my perception. The team makeup on my end could have been a little bit not necessarily so focused on defense, so I saw a lot of people carding, but that could have just been luck of the draw. I don't necessarily know. But based on just some experience and just actually doing the quest itself multiple times, those are the things that I picked up. Now, as far as Crimson Glow Valstrax previously having a big crown guaranteed quest, I don't believe that was the case. We haven't even had that many event quests with Crimson Glow Valstrax since it was originally introduced. So it's one of those monsters that, you know, I believe it received maybe just one event quest down the road. It didn't really get all that much of a support post launch after it was originally introduced, and even in a normal set of like quests that you end up getting in the game, it didn't end up getting a lot of quests all on its own. Now, as far as actual rewards for the quest, you're not going to notice anything special. Maybe you end up having a better drop for mantles or stuff like that. I did notice that I received 2 mantles on 2 separate occasions that I ended up doing this quest, so chances are you know, you might end up getting those as a higher percentage drops, but actual drops or rewards or anything along those lines, you're not going to get anything. All you're going to end up getting is the big crown version of this monster, which once again is a monster that didn't necessarily get a lot of love, especially through event quests in the past. And now that we have this Risen Crimson Glow Valstrax version through Anomaly Investigations, which is one of the target monsters a lot of people you're going to notice end up doing. Whenever they're doing content level 260 and above, you'll notice them, a lot of them try to go after Risen Crimson Glow Valstrax or Risen Shigaru Magala, since it does give you the most amount of experience. Those 2 monsters are the most difficult ones through Anomaly Investigation quest, but because they end up giving you the most amount of experience, those are the ones that most people end up chasing after. So you certainly want to go after that if you haven't necessarily done so already. Now, usually I have been relatively critical of event quests as of the past few weeks, but this time around I do think Capcom nailed it. They did a pretty good job with this quest. The massive version of this monster is a lot of fun. You need to stay on your toes because, again, the reach on this thing, the AoE damage, is pretty outstanding. It's something that you should be paying attention to, and it loves to move around. Another thing that I also noticed was that there's a lot of monsters kind of like roaming the area in the jungle, so you're gonna end up finding monsters that are gonna like most likely make their way into the fight itself. You can knock them over, double mount, that kind of a thing. Extra damage is always good and something you should be paying attention to. Now, in my next video, I will be talking about the other event quests. I like to talk about both event quests rather separately, since we don't necessarily have a lot more event quests coming up. We're about 3 weeks away from getting the final batch of quests, and that will be that. I do have a video coming up within the next few days, where I'm going to be talking about the last patch that we're going to get. Not content drop, but actual patch addressing some issues, and we've received some more details on that front. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today. Really cool quest. I'm really glad Capcom dropped it, and most likely the last Crimson Glow Valstrax quest we'll end up getting. If you're brand new to my channel though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.